black stream or black screen on the
on on
stream.
on Twitch. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can hear us still, right?
I do believe so.
Okay, we're just at a
Yeah.
the 2 second delay. Oh. Okay, we got background. Well,
Sorry.
oh,
Dad was talking to me.
okay. Window. Oh, that's why. Okay, that's why. Hold on. Let's try this
You
again.
got it figured out?
I'm hoping so. Window has been minimized. No, it's not. No. It's just. Okay. There we go. Got it. I got it. Got it. Okay. All right. Now, what you're looking at right now is the front page of Kotaku, which I'm displaying on the screen for those of you watching or listening. To
Hey, there we go.
to give you that. Uh, let's see if it comes up on my end for the display.
Yep, I'm getting it on my end.
All right. Yeah. There. Okay. There we go. All right. We are live. Okay. So a little background on this. On my YouTube channel, I have a segment. I I used to do a segment. We used to produce a segment called Genshin, where we would discuss. Uh, Genshin is basically the Society for the Study of Modern Visual Culture, and we would discuss media and other things associated with it. So because of my associate at the time, who he departed for other pastures, I had to end it. So then another friend of mine came along, and I was able to restart it, but then he decided to just quit too, because we ended up doing too many things at once, because we were also doing Nutty Bars and Root Beer at the time, and we made the Genshin more along the lines of a board meeting. So then I tried to strike out and do it on my own, and I did one thing called the Culturist, which just seemed really boring because I really didn't have another person to go back and forth with. Alright, so now we're up to today, and this young lady, during Christmas time, we engaged in a little back and forth. It all started with uh, a wish list meme, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Started out, I posted a wish list meme and encouraged people to kind of do one as well. And, you could wish for anything. You could it was silly kind of stuff. And I saw that Squall had posted that he would like to find someone to do his streams with again. So I went ahead and contacted him and I was like, hey, this is something that I might be interested in. Tell me more. And so here we are.
Yeah, but there were other things on the list that were not as family friendly. I'll say that. If you remember
Hey,
reading
man, that's life.
through the list, yeah. So anyway, all right. So first of all, we got to come up with a name, but for right now, we'll just say Squall and Rose's Cultural Hour, I guess. But
Hey, man, sounds fine to me for the moment. Well,
yeah,
I'm
but
sure we'll find something
yeah,
later on.
something later
If
on.
anyone
Okay.
has suggestions, we are very open to them.
Yep. All right. This is also right now it's on Twitch, but it's also going to be going on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/squallshade. All right. So to start out with, uh, introduce ourselves. I'm Squall. I've been a cultural. Uh, I've had interest in the culture since a long time ago. since I was young. I read a lot. I'm well read. I watch a lot of movies. Listen to a lot of music. I play video games, and I try to keep up with culture news mostly. So that's kind of my background. And then Rose, what's your background?
I mostly am more on the video game and movie scene. I'm also a big anime person as well. Uh, so I try to keep up with different anime series from here and there. I mostly like the old stuff, but I'm trying to get into the newer things. And, you know, and I mostly keep up with a lot of PC gaming and Nintendo gaming, just because those are the two platforms I have and play on the most. I left Xbox and PS2 or PlayStation back at PS2. But that's pretty much where I'm at. I try to keep up to date with, current events. It's a little bit hard with some of the stuff that's been going on recently, because some things we don't want to hear, but that is learning. You can't just block out the things you don't want to hear because you'll never learn anything. So,
Alternative facts.
alternative facts, man. Those alternative facts. An
Yeah.
alternative fact about me is I'm actually a superhero by night. Ask
Oh.
anyone. They know that alternative fact.
All right. So now the introductions are pretty much out of the way. Okay. So let's discuss what culture we have consumed recently. We'll we start with one of yours first, and we'll go back and
Um,
forth.
let's see. Recent things. Thinking. Resident Evil 7. While I have not played that game because I would cry and be up all night long, probably screaming, I did watch several live streams on it, and that game is so worth playing. Just from what I've seen, the mechanics are really, really neat, and the way they interpret that story is just unlike anything I've seen before. I haven't really played the Resident Evil games, but Resident Evil 7 did kind of pop out at me as a game that I wanted to see played because I was watching people play the demos back when those were coming out. But yeah, the game essentially is about a guy who goes to look for his wife after she's been missing for about 3 years. And you get thrown into some really crazy stuff, as Resident Evil usually does. You get thrown into a house with a psychotic family that's trying to kill you. So that's about all I can say without spoiling the entire game, but it is very, very interesting, and the story does take a very interesting turn compared to other Resident Evil games from what I've heard of them.
Yeah, it's I've been watching a lot of streamers too, and it's it's like the first half of the game is like more puzzle oriented, and then the last half goes back. It it feels more like Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, it goes
So
back to that kind of first person shooter background thing going on.
yeah,
So,
but it's a good game. I like it. It's got a really good story, and while I won't play it myself because I'm not a fan of those type of games. I
yeah, the jump scares. Can't handle them.
well I really like some of the humor too. Like when you're in the garage with the car. that is that was a great scene. I was like, yeah, this is kind of funny. I'm amused by this. All right, so
There's only so far you can go with a car in a garage that size.
yeah, yeah. Well, there's from what I heard, there's two things you can do. There, you can either drive the car yourself or have him drive the car. And if he drives the car, it's even crazier.
I watched him driving the car, and it's funny because he
Yeah,
just kind of burns out the back tires, you can't really go much of anywhere in a garage. Just saying.
Yeah. But anyway, so consensus, we give a thumbs up.
I'd say thumbs up for
Yeah.
people who can stand jump scares and kind of like scarier video games, which is definitely not me, but
Yeah.
if you like horror games and you like puzzle games, it's a really good one.
So yeah, I like it. It's but it I wouldn't play it myself, but I would recommend if it's that type of game, then go ahead and play it. All right, so let's go to me. Actually, on my Twitch channel, you can see a whole list of all the PS4 games that I've got over the past, like, let's say 3 or 4 months. Yeah, I've excessively purchased on the Flip PS4. But let's see. One game that I can talk about. I've been playing Dragon Age Inquisition quite a bit, and I like that. Um, uh, I'm going through my list, and Risk of Rain, which is kind of an older one, but is still good. Very interesting. Steam World Dig, I went through all the way. I haven't got all the achievements on that yet. That's it for my end. Um, Rose, are you still there?
Yep,
Oh,
I'm
all right.
still
Oh,
alive.
okay, all right.
Kind of going through the list, seeing if there's anything I'm familiar with, and unfortunately, there doesn't look like anything new that I can really give any input on since
Yeah.
I'm not
It,
not too big on uh, console games. Like I said, I mostly play on the PC. I've recently picked up World of Warcraft for the first time a
oh
few
my.
months ago.
Oh
Oh
God.
no,
Yeah. Oh
worst
God.
mistake of my life.
Yeah.
Worst mistake of my life. It is so good. I just recently got Legion, or yeah, Legion?
Yeah.
Legion.
Legion.
Oh no, my life is gone. My life is absolutely gone. Anytime I get free time to play video games, I'm usually playing that. And my boyfriend plays it far more than I do, but he's addicted. I have to take a step back from it sometimes to be like, okay, I'm gonna need to take a break because I've done too much grinding today. But that expansion's actually pretty interesting. I didn't play in the past, so I only know of Legion essentially. But it's very interesting. The Demon Hunter class is really neat. I like them. I'm not a melee sort of person. I have a level 105 Shadow Priest because I prefer to keep my distance, but the Demon Hunters are really interesting characters and they're really fast and I like them and I like their designs too. It's a very interesting design. I wish there were more classes to play as a demon hunter rather than just the night elves and the blood elves, but nah,
You mean
beggars can't be choosers, I
you mean
guess.
you mean races?
What?
You mean
Yeah, races.
races?
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Um,
okay. That does bring up a inter. Yeah, that does bring up. That I should put my Steam library in my list.
if I had to put my Steam library, hold on. Let's find out exactly what sort of chaos my Steam library looks like right now. I'm pretty sure I have over like 150 games, I think. But that's because I keep getting gifted games from like my close friends, or I buy games that are on stupid Steam sales because why not? They're a whole 25 cents.
Yeah, I've only got 81. I'm trying to keep the number down to uh,
Oh,
to,
I
because
was very wrong. 236 games.
jeez, but how many of them are installed?
Oh,
Go under just mouse over your library tab.
46
46. Okay,
of them are installed.
actually, that's the same amount that I have installed.
I I've been playing so much WoW though that I haven't played any of these. I need to get back to um what was I playing on Steam last? I think I was playing one of the Telltale games, the Game of Thrones
Okay.
Telltale game series. And I got through to the second episode of before World of Warcraft happened, but that one's a pretty good game. I'm a big fan of the Telltale game series stuff. Uh, my favorite is the Wolf because I thought that was really awesome, and Bloody Mary is a total badass.
Have you read the Fables books, graphic novels?
No.
I recommend them because it brings in the game itself. It brings up references to the books, which I like. But well, recently, well, I haven't been playing it, but I've been watching a lot of The Binding of Isaac, Afterbirth plus Anti-Birth, all that stuff. Uh,
Yeah, I really couldn't get into that one. I have a friend who's like deep into that game and he just is all about the lore behind it and everything and I'm just like, "Oh boy, I didn't know a game could get as deep as that one was." I heard about the like the weird in-game scavenger hunt type thing, like there were clues in the game and then people found like clues in the actual like real world
yeah,
and then they went on this scavenger hunt and I was like, whoa, this game has just completely blown every other game out of the water as far as developer to customer interaction, word to use there. um,
yeah, that was
because I
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, that was the whole greed mode debacle, which
Mm-hmm.
it was interesting, but it's also like if a developer is going to go, they, there should be a limit to how far they go uh, to advertise their game. Kind of. I mean that another good example is there's a game that just came out called Glitter, not recently, but Glitter Cove, Grove, and there is it on the outside. It's a game about just resource gathering with fairies, but inside of it, there's a game called Frog Fractions 2. That's a whole game in and of itself. It's like a game within a game. But during the whole lead up to Frog Fractions 2, there were people throwing like weird symbols in other games that weren't even relevant to Frog Fractions or anything like that. But that was like another ARG that was kind of a little bit over the top.
Yeah, I don't know anything about those ones. I'm kind of looking at them right now. Oh,
But all right,
that's interesting.
so let's see. Have you read any books recently?
um yes, it, comics actually. I finally finished uh crap. You know what? Let me look it up. It's Sunstone. I forget the author's name real quick.
Is that a manga?
It's a comic.
Sunstone.
Stefan uh Sajic, I think is how you say his last name. Uh it's it's a very not safe for work comic. Um because it's about two females who are in a uh, BDSM relationship. And it really, like, a lot of people are going to think, oh, 50 Shades of Grey.
No,
No, I
no.
haven't read those books because they're really crappy fan fictions. Um, but this one is kind of like, it definitely brings you in and kind of really shows you what a safe relationship is in that situation. And 50 Shades of Grey is like an abusive relationship and has nothing to do with like the BDSM scene. Um, but this comic is rather tasteful in the way that it works because it is a romance. Um, However, it's like a quirky sort of romance. So the one girl is a like web designer, I do believe, or a graphic coder. She does coding and stuff like that. And she's the dom of the relationship, but she's like really quirky and she loves to play video games. I guess that universe's equivalent to World of Warcraft is what she plays. Um, but she's really funny, and then the more submissive girl is a writer, and so it's all kind of from her point of view for the most part. Um, but it's really good, and the I do believe it comes in 5 installations. The fifth book is the last one, which is the one I just got. It came out early January, I do believe, January 20, no, mid January, so January like 27th, late, whatever. I'm getting my beginning, middle, ends mixed up. But that one, it was beautiful, and I am very excited because they're doing some spin-off versions with some of the other characters that were involved in the books. So if you're not into lady love, then you want more of like a male female relationship, they're going to be doing another series called Mercy, which follows Alan. If you read the first ones, you'll know who Alan is. He's really funny. He's a bondage gear maker, so he makes beds and stuff like that. It's it's a funny kind of thing. I found it more like funny and interesting than I found it sexual, even though it is a sexual topic.
It,
but
so it is quite graphic with depicting the lady bits and stuff like that, right?
it actually doesn't get crazy. It
Okay.
doesn't it doesn't get too graphic with that. It shows the girls in the gear and stuff like that, but it doesn't, like, there is no penetration or anything like that. And it's tasteful, I think. From an artist standpoint, it is a tasteful way of kind of showing these situations. So it's not something I would recommend to anyone under 18 years old because obviously it is an adult comic. Um, However, it is, if you're looking for a like different romance story, that one is definitely, like, that is one that I would suggest. Each one of the books run, if you buy them brand new, run like $14, I do believe, and I
Wow.
have all 5 of them because I love them that much. But it's definitely worth a read if you're into like alternative stuff and you want a different romance story than this 50 Shades of Grey and Twilight BS that happens.
Well, it's a good thing my Twitch chat's for 18 plus only, but because of that I might have to age restrict it on YouTube.
I mean, to be fair, you could probably just cut out me talking about it. Honestly, I don't mind. But I definitely did want to kind of touch on that because it's really good. It is a very, very good book. Well, series of books, but yeah, pretty good nonetheless.
No, I won't cut it out because it's more. It's your review of it was very informational and non-biased.
Yeah, I try my best.
That's good. I've been reading a lot of the Spider Verse books. It's basically the Spider-Man stuff that it's these group of vampires who go and their task is basically to kill all the Spider-Men of all the universes. And then it ends up that the one for this universe is the only one that could stop him, but he recruits a lot of Spider-Mans from other universes to help him out to get rid of these vampires. And it's a really good series. But it also happens after Norman Osborn went crazy and took over the United States for a while, which is the whole Siege storyline, which is right after the Avengers Civil War, which the book Civil War and the movie Civil War are two different things.
Yeah,
I will say that I wasn't disappointed by the movie Civil War, but knowing what it led to in the books and knowing that it's not going to lead there in the cinematic universe, I'm kind of disappointed. Hmm. But
yeah.
anyway,
I know about Marvel, but I'm not super well read on Marvel. I know about the multiverse theory thing, but Marvel is just all the comics are so much to keep up on. I feel like people usually follow the ones they enjoy the most. But it's very interesting to hear about the multiverse and how all of these characters they have them coming together through different dimensions and working together to fight for the greater good.
yeah. Well, okay. So we discussed uh, PC a little bit. Uh, let me. I'll bring up over the weekend. I bought 5 games. Yeah, 5 games. I bought Legaia 2 Dual Saga for PS2, Warriors of Orochi for PS2, and the first Yakuza for PS2, and Muramasa the Demon Blade for Wii, and The Adventures of Zack and Wiki Quest for Barbarous Treasure for Wii. And then I bought a book, The Super Scribble Knots. It's like a walkthrough kind of for it, but it also has the first game in it. So I'm looking forward to getting those. Well, the issue is that I have two PS2s, but I have the two Slims, but they're both broken. So when I went to the place that I bought the games from, I had called them beforehand, asked them if they had a big box PS2 available, and they said yeah. So then I get there and I ask them, "Do you guys have the PS2 big box available?" Nope. So I was like,
Lovely.
yeah, you know what? I hate this store now, and I will choose to buy what I want to buy from this store, but I will not I will not I do not intend to patronize a store in the future. So I'm gonna look for other stores in the area that would probably be more customer friendly than that store. Okay, let's see here. I started watching Game of Thrones season 6.
Nice,
I
nice.
watched season episode 1 and episode 2, and I think season 6 is where they're starting to break away from the books to where it's more like it's its own self-contained thing now, and it'll still use context from the books, but it'll be mostly its own thing.
Yeah. That's what I heard was that the TV series is going to differ from the books, so that a way that still gives people who would like to read the books after watching the series still gives them kind of a reason to read the books. Um, I've already finished season 6 completely. I finished that as it was coming out. It's really good. It's really, really good. And I am very excited for season 7. I don't think the release for that can come fast enough.
I a part I'm gonna bring up the interaction between Tyrion and the dragons.
Oh, yeah.
That I have a feeling that Tyrion's essentially gonna become a god. Because
Tyrion stands to be like a lot of people I know. He's still a favorite for a lot of people. He's definitely one of my favorites because it's kind of like the underdog thing going on. Like people are gonna doubt you because of who you are, because of what you look like, and you just gotta pretty much give them the middle finger and kind of keep going. So I really do hope that they give Tyrion some good stuff this next season because he definitely deserves it. He's seen nothing but bad times.
well, see the thing that people forget is that in his background he's a Lannister who is one of the most influential and affluential group family in that kingdom. So he's got that name to use to go. He's got his family name to use.
Yeah, but I think at this point it's the world kind of knows what's going on with the Lannisters at this point, or a lot of people do at least. The big families probably know what happened, and they're probably not going to take too kindly to him. So maybe Tyrion will have more influence with smaller families
Yeah,
that don't really know what's going on. And I understand that Tyrion comes from a background of money and whatnot, but he did still have to struggle, which is why he's very well read and is very like knowledgeable on so much stuff, is because he had to make up for the fact of who he is as a person, the fact that he's considered a monster of sorts. So he's had to make up for that with knowledge, and I think that's beautiful because knowledge is definitely power, and the more you know about something, the more power you have. And I think even though he's had a rough time and like just everything that's went down with him, I hope he gets a good position of power later on. Like, I'm hopeful. It probably won't happen. Uh, but I am very hopeful that he will have a better place. I can't say too much of what goes on with Tyrion because I don't think you're only on episode 2, so you haven't really gotten to see
yeah.
too terribly much with what's going on with him. But you know, he deserves better.
Yeah. Spoilers.
Yeah.
Spoilers. I did get a couple weeks ago. I did get a game called Chocobo's Dungeon 2, and I got Bowser and Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story because of one of the YouTubers that I watched, Luca Jin. She's been playing through it, and I had played through it before, but I played the emulated version, and I just wanted to have a copy of it myself because I like the Mario and Luigi series because of it being role RPG oriented and not action platformer oriented. Okay,
Yeah.
so what other movies have you watched within the past month or two?
Oh, let's see. Well, I've more so been watching series right now.
Mm-hmm.
I finally finished watching Star Trek, the original series. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I don't think the last episode did the series justice, but that that series was just uh well, I wouldn't say perfect. It definitely has some areas where you're like, what is going on? But for the most part, I think the characters, they couldn't have cast better characters than, or better actors for those characters, because all of them were just, they were beautiful. Um, and then I started watching Next Gen, which, oh my lord, uh, freaking Picard and Q, 10 out of 10 characters. uh, and then I started watching the Netflix series of unfortunate events. And uh, I haven't read many of the books. I think I've read like one or two myself back when I was a kid, but I have seen the movie enough times to quote it word for word, thanks to my little sister who really loved that movie. And so this one comes in with Neil Patrick Harris as the Count. And while I love Neil Patrick Harris as an actor, Jim Carrey definitely was Count Olaf. And I don't think Neil Patrick Harris will live up to that, but he's definitely trying. Um, I'm at, I think, episode 6 last time I checked, but it's very different. Still dark, but this one takes more of like a silly approach to it. And I can't really compare it to the books. My little sister says that it's very kind of like very word for word with the books, I guess. Like they're very similar, but I'm not so sure about that because I've heard mixed reviews when it comes to how the Netflix series compares to uh the books. But I'm not so sure. I definitely still like the movie more, but the series itself isn't so bad. Definitely a lot more comedic than kind of dark, which maybe that's why I like the movie more because I'm more into the dark stuff. And the movie was very funny, but the series definitely tries to push that funny limit a little bit more.
I have read all the books, and what they did with the movie is they tried to shove all three of the books into one movie, which is why there's so many different location changes.
Yeah.
And
Well, I know there were several books. I'm not quite sure
there were
exactly how
there were
many.
12 books. There were 12 of them, and at the end it was the ending was not a happy ending, but not a bad ending. It was kind of a neutral ending, which I think the characters were really satisfied with, and
Yeah.
I was really satisfied with it too. But I when I heard Neil Patrick Harris as Count Olaf, I'm like, can he pull it off? I don't know.
I think he's doing a pretty good job for who he is. Um However, Jim Carrey definitely kind of nailed that role for me. And so it's very hard. It's hard for an actor to live up to what someone else has done. So, like people with the kind of similar to the new Star Trek movies compared to the original series, since they're based off of the characters from the original series, and there are a lot of people who are pretty mad about the movies, and they're like, well, this isn't Kirk, this isn't Spock, these characters are so different. But you need to understand that one, these actors are probably not going to live up to the other actors, but I guess the big difference with like Star Trek compared to a series of unfortunate events is Star Trek is actually like the movies are based in a different like universe compared to the old Star Trek, which is why uh you know Spock is the way he is, why he has more human emotions. Not to spoil anything that went on with those movies if people haven't seen them, but Spock is more emotional in the newer movies, and people are mad about that. My boyfriend included. Well, he's not really mad. He's just kind of like, that's not Spock. And I'm like, well, it is Spock. It's just Spock in this universe. So you kind of have to take a step back and be like, okay, this is a completely different universe, and try not to compare the two to each other. And that's what I'm trying to do with the series of unfortunate events as I'm watching it. Is I'm trying not to compare the movie to the series too much, because I really want to like this, because I do like a series of unfortunate events, and I do like Neil Patrick Harris as an actor. um, it is a little bit hard, but I'm still slowly making my way through it, kind of just trying to let it all sink in as its own sort of thing.
Yeah, because it'd be like it's an alternate universe, basically. Like in Star Trek, they had
Yeah.
the evil versions of themselves, who were just the characters with mustaches.
Yeah. That was one of the best episodes just because of that.
Well, I played the deck building game of the Star Trek, and seeing they do use the evil characters, and they put the pictures on the cards, and it's humorous. All right, so any other movies you want to talk about? Any other series?
Um, well, I guess for those of you who are like anime people, a good recommendation I have is Konosuba. I do believe second season came out last month, but I watched that back in November, December ish for the first time, and it's still in Japanese with the subtitles. So if there are any of you who are dub people, unfortunately, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer for that. But that series is so just, it's ridiculous. It's, oh, I don't know how to put it without spoiling too much of it. So
Is it
it's
like
about a boy.
is it like Excel Saga?
I don't know that anime.
Okay.
So it kind of is like, um, I guess to try to give a gist of this without spoiling any of it. It starts out with a boy who essentially dies and is allowed to come back in another world. And so he ends up coming back in a world similar to like an MMORPG. So basically they come back, they're given like their a card that kind of tells them what power they have, what kind of character they're going to be, and he just kind of travels around with this girl. I'm not going to say too much about it because, like, who the characters are, as to not spoil anything. But he kind of travels around with this girl and is like doing these random quests, and so basically they just grind every day, and they've met these other characters. Megumin is most people's favorites. She has a thing for explosions, and she's incredibly adorable. But each character that is kind of part of the main cast has a like a good thing about them and then a bad thing about them. So it's really funny because the entire series is just about these failures of characters, and they're, it's something else, but it's definitely worth a watch for people who are more into kind of like funny sort of things. I said that it seemed like a kind of, I guess for lack of better words, a harem type anime, but it's not sexual. There are some like sexual innuendos slid in here and there, but it's not. I don't think it's meant to be sexy. It's just kind of meant to be humorous. Um, and the my train of thought crashed. I'm sorry. Uh, but the characters are very man. My brain was just like, okay, that's enough talking. Switch off. We're done. Give me a second to recollect myself. You have anything else to add, Squall, while I try to think of where I was at?
Okay, the subtitle for it is God's blessing on this wonderful world. Okay, so the description for the first episode: gamer Kazuma dies in a freak accident and is met in the afterlife by a crass goddess Aqua. Okay,
Yep.
and no, it doesn't look very good.
Doesn't look very
It
good.
does not look very good.
It's definitely for people who are like, because so the boy is he's like a neat otaku kind of character. So it is definitely for people who are into that humor and the just silliness essentially. Um it doesn't have any reason or rhyme from what I've seen. It's kind of like each episode is its own little thing. They definitely keep a similar theme, but they it's random. But I thought it was pretty funny. It was pretty cute, and I definitely want to see more of it. Um, but it isn't going to be for everybody. It's not Cowboy Bebop or uh, Trigun or
So
Fully Cooley, but it's definitely worth watching for people who like silly stuff.
there's 4 episodes of season 2 out already.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're just now working on season two. So all I have to pretty much stand by is season one. I haven't watched any of season two yet. I've been kind of holding off on that for a little bit. I like to watch things more like after they're done. So I want to kind of wait for season two to be over and then go and watch it rather than watch it episode for episode and then have to try to remember what happened last episode. It's easier with Game of Thrones, but with anime that is very random, like this one is, it's probably best to just watch them back to back for the sake of not forgetting.
Yeah, have a Netflix binge watch it.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't think it's on Netflix, but you can definitely, if you search for
And,
Konosuba, you can find it
yeah,
online relatively
uh,
easy.
probably Crunchyroll either Crunchyroll or what's the other one?
Uh,
Funimation. It's on
yeah.
Funimation. All right. I've been watching Ruby RWBY. The
Ooh.
fourth season is out, and it keeps getting darker and darker. It
I cannot wait to like get back to watching that. And now that you've said it just gets darker and darker, I'm just like, oh yes,
I
because I like my stuff dark.
okay. I'm gonna make a prediction right here and right now on this episode, on this day. What is today? Monday, February 6th, 2017. I'm predicting that all the characters from Ruby are gonna die. Every single one of them. It's gonna be like the Grimm are just gonna take over the whole world and destroy it, and boom, everybody's dead. And the fact that Ruby has
And
silver eyes has nothing. No, it's a MacGuffin. It's a red herring that the people are putting in there. But I mean, it's well animated. The guy Monty Un, who originally started it, he created a series called Dead Fantasy, which is the DOA girls fighting the Final Fantasy girls, and his fight choreography, his fight planning is spot on. It's like you can even imagine like you're in the actual arena itself watching these characters fight each other because it's that immersive. Now
Yeah.
the last episode that he did of that was just uh was it ended on a cliffhanger, and he wasn't able to do anything after that because he got so invested in doing the art of BBY stuff, the Ruby stuff.
Yeah.
The,
Yeah, that was something I liked the series. I still don't know how I feel about the CG stuff. It's interesting. It's definitely different, and I've seen a lot more anime now taking that kind of CG approach to things, um, which is very interesting. Like Ajin is a good example. Um, I haven't watched much of Ajin, but I definitely do want to watch more, and that is another kind of like CG. It looks a lot like Ruby as far as the characters go. I don't know if any of them have like if those two shows are done by similar people or not, but you can definitely tell that it's CG instead of standard animation, like drawn stuff.
mm,
But that one is definitely worth giving a little bit of a watch to. I do believe that one is still on Netflix. I think it's a Netflix original, but I'm sure you can, if you don't have Netflix, you can find it online somewhere, surely. Cat,
uh,
please.
the one thing that I like about Ruby is the fact that they were able they were creative enough to put melee weapons and ranged weapons together.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I love that. The weapons are so awesome. Um,
when
and
they
just each one is a different, like, unique design,
mhm. when
which
they
is very, very interesting.
when they
Sorry.
when they yeah when they introduced Sun Wukong in the first season and had him fight the guy with the cane with his nunchucks, and then suddenly you started seeing bullets come out of his nunchucks, and oh, they're gunchucks. Like, that is awesome. And the one teacher has a coffee mug that masquerades as a rocket launcher, or yeah, rocket launcher. And I'm like, you guys are pretty creative with putting these weapons together, because you wouldn't think like some of the weapons don't really go together, like from a a like a design aspect, like the one chick, the Momo chick, the bunny chick that has the camera,
Mm-hmm.
and to where she can basically produce anybody's weapon or whatever. That was kind of interesting, but that wasn't really a melee weapon and a ranged weapon combined.
Yeah.
But the book, the girl with the book, and she used the book. What did the book turn into?
I don't think I ever got that far.
No, it was still the first season. It was when they were fighting back against. No, maybe it wasn't the first season. Maybe it was. But anyway, the book girl, like, she had, it was like a suitcase that masqueraded as something else. I don't remember. But anyway, the Sky Ranger comments, "I'm a next gen man myself." All right. Well,
uh,
thank you for that input. Okay. So anyway, all right. So I would we can keep on discussing this throughout the rest of the episode, but for now let's move on to news. And as my example for news, I use Kotaku, which isn't necessarily a reputable news source, but for right now, what I'm planning on doing with this is just going through the headlines, and then we can discuss them. All right. So the first one is, well, not the first one, but the one I want to talk about is uh the Denuvo. You know what Denuvo is?
I have no idea,
Oh,
actually.
okay, Denuvo is a company that produces the software that game developers put on their game to prevent copyright, to prevent it from being downloaded and shared. It's what they call DRM, basically.
Okay, I remember hearing about that,
Okay, yeah,
where it makes it harder for people to crack the games.
yeah. Well, speaking of this game we were talking about earlier, Resident Evil 7, and they pirates cracked it in just 5 days.
Yep. I remember hearing about that. They cracked it already.
Five
You know,
days.
you can't put anything past hackers cuz they will find a way. Like every time you can try to put every security measure in that you would like to put, but if they are determined enough, like with video games mostly, oh, they'll get that video game. They'll get it and they won't have to pay a cent for it. I think that's kind of crappy in a sense because you know, if you like a game and you like a developer, and I understand a lot of these people are like, oh, well, these developers make a ton of money. What's the problem with me downloading a game for free? Well, if everybody did that, there would be a problem, but I don't know. I think it's just kind of unfair to the people who pay for the game that you just kind of like went out and got this game for free. And I pay for all the games that I get, whether it be through like getting it on Humble Bundle or something of that sort. But I always pay for the games that I get because I like to give money to the developers of the things that I enjoy, especially small developers. I feel like it's very important that, if you like it enough, you spend money on it.
I do agree with that, but in regards to you were talking about the Humble Bundle, that's like that's the developer putting their game on sale, and with that also the developer gets most of the money from that transaction, whereas with like GameStop or other online stores like G2A and GOG, you're not getting the full value of what you're paying for. and neither is the developer. They're not getting the full value of what they created. They're not getting all the money because of the fact
Yeah, cause,
that the GameStop sells used copies, and GOG has to support their own business, and G2A is full of rampant corruption.
yeah, I've seen on G2A there are a ton of games that are just marked down a ridiculous amount. And
It,
I personally don't know how it works. I don't know how they do it, but I still try to stick more to things where I know that the money is going to the developer instead of the money's just going to some random person. Unfortunately, there are a lot of things that we have to buy used, like old games, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, GameCube, those sort of things we do have to buy secondhand because there's not support for them anymore with their regular companies. But if it's a new game, I definitely try to buy it new. Like Pokemon Sun and Moon, that was when I went out and pre-ordered it right away. Um, and it's nothing to just be like, if you find out a game that you like is coming out soon, you can go and find a place that you can pre-order the game and just kind of go in and find out what the minimum pre-order money is. And I usually start out with $5, and then each time I get paid, I just go and put another $5 on it. And you do that over a few months because pre-orders usually happen several months in advance. No, you just do it that way, and your game is paid off. With Steam, unfortunately, Steam's pre-orders are like you got to pay it all right there. But if you like the stuff enough, just pay for it. Don't be that guy. You know.
Don't be that guy. Are you assuming my gender?
Excuse me, are you assuming my gender in 2016? It's 2017. Are you assuming where I am in time in 2016? I'm
Are you
sorry. I'll go sit down.
assuming the year? No, but I understand. I mean, well, okay. I can I do I will admit that I do emulate games and I do acquire games in that little gray area because it's like my opinion is I believe I should have the right to try a game out before I actively uh, invest money into it.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's a little bit different though.
oh, okay. A good example is a Nintendo 64 game. It's called Mischief Makers. I was when the 64 came out and I heard about that game and I heard the description. I was like, yeah, I really want to get that game. But I never did until just recently when I played an emulated version of it, which is the emulated version is pretty much the whole game. And I was like, why did I want this game again? Because I did not like it at all, and because it's one of the things it's touted as it's an RPG, and it's not an RPG at all. And I'm like, when people use uh, descriptive terms to describe their game incorrectly, and it throws the consumer off to say,
Yeah.
well, like, okay, Final Fantasy 15 just came out. What if Square Enix were to call that a a yaoi a, a yaoi car driving simulator?
A yaoi car driving simulator, first person shooter,
Yeah, totally
bubble popping game.
totally misrepresenting their products. And then it's like, well, the consumer A, goes and sees this game, and she's like, well, I know the Final Fantasy universe, and it's an RPG. Most of the Final Fantasies are RPG. Is this an RPG? So then they look at the descriptors. It's like, well, this isn't an RPG. So then they're on the fence about buying it. They don't want to buy it. So then let's say they go and acquire it in that little gray area. And then they're like, well, this is not what it's packaged as all. It's packaged at all. There is more of a chance that consumer A will buy that game because they acquired it in the gray area rather than going to the white area and seeing and paying for it outright and not getting what they wanted.
Honestly, I think that's what makes gaming a little bit more rough nowadays than it did back in the day when you like when I was a kid. If we wanted to try a video game out before we bought it, we would go to the local Blockbuster. We would go. I'm dating myself now. Like you can tell how old I am now. But I would go to Blockbuster or like later on there's a place called Family Video. I don't know what locations it's in, but over here in the US, we have it in my location. And it's you could go in and you could be like, "Oh, hey, well I want to try this game out." And you go in, you rent the game for one night, 5 nights for a few bucks, and then you come back home, you play it, and then you're like, "Oh, hey, I really really liked that game. I'm going to go ahead and buy this." Well, it's harder to do that now with PC gaming on the rise and like downloading. Well, PC gaming's here, it's a thing, but it's getting even bigger each day. And like download games on like the PlayStation and whatnot, PlayStation 4, Xbox One. And I think that has people going and just going ahead and pirating these games, and then they're like, okay, well, hey, if I pirated the whole version right here, why would I go out and pay for it? And I feel like a lot of people with that mindset is what's causing the problem. If developers would give us a means of testing the game out, similar to like what Resident Evil did, they had the demo version that they brought out, and I feel like that was a good move on their part. Was it the storyline of the video game? Absolutely not. It actually followed a storyline of uh movie makers, filmmakers, whatnot, that came across this house, but I still feel like it was a very good representation of what this game was going to be. you know and game game developers don't really do that anymore. There aren't demo versions. There aren't means of us going out and renting games for the PC, mainly, people who are PC gamers, since that is becoming bigger and bigger as time goes on. But the console people can still go out and be like, okay, well, I'm going to rent this game and I'm going to rent this game and play them. If I like them, I'll buy them. But as I said, with PC gaming becoming as big as it has been, and they don't have that option for PC gamers, that's where the piracy comes in. And so, I don't know. I feel like it would be wise on a developer's part to do the demo game, similar to how, like I said, Resident Evil did it. Just go ahead and do the demo game. It shouldn't be too much for you to just kind of like make up a little demo piece, like they did on the Nintendo also did it uh, before Sun and Moon came out. They did the demo version of Sun and Moon. Was that game a representation of what actual Pokemon Sun and Moon was going to be like? No, absolutely not. That demo was. I thought it was okay. My boyfriend thought it was absolute garbage. He was gonna go cancel his pre order. He was like, if this is what the new game is gonna be like, I don't want anything to do with it. But it turned out being okay, and the game is just fine. I like it, but they didn't really represent many of the features that they had in the actual game. They only showed a small amount of the features, such as the camera feature for taking pictures of Pokemon and then battling them. But that was kind of like a flaw on Nintendo's part. They could have better represented that, but it happened, and people still like Sun and Moon, so that's Nintendo.
Okay, so I want to interject a couple things. Well, first of all, you got Patreon, which a lot of developers are some developers are using that now, and releasing builds of their games. And then you got Kickstarter, which some developers are using. A good example of a Kickstarter is the game Ukulele, which a lot of they released a demo, kind of a demo called the Toy Box for it for PC, which was really interesting. And then the third thing is because one of the things that most of the PS2, PS4 games that I got the physical copies of, a good example is Until Dawn, or Wolf Among Us. I got Wolf Among Us for $7 because it was on sale. So that's maybe what companies should do, is that they should offer games at not as much game. They should value their games differently nowadays, instead of just slapping a $50 price tag on them, a
Mm-hmm.
$60 price tag on them. Maybe they should ask the consumer, hey, what price would you pay for this? A good example is the Humble Bundle. You pay what price you want to get what you want out of it, even though it's not, the humble bundles aren't always perfect.
Yeah. Humble Bundle does have a lot to offer, and that's what I respect Humble Bundle because there are things you can go on there. A lot of the games I have in my Steam library, I know I said that I had, what, 250 games roughly. A lot of those are from Humble Bundle as games that were just kind of like, oh, well, here's this one game that you really like and you really want to get. But here are like 5 or 6 other games that you can get with it. I think that's interesting, and that definitely opens a lot of people's eyes to other developers because it's like, oh, well, you got this game, but you've also got these games that you got in your Humble Bundle too. And some people are like, oh, well, if I got these, I might as well try them out. And then people can actually find other, like, developers, other games that they enjoy, which is interesting. But when I was bringing up the point of, like, developers having demos and whatnot for their games, I was more so meaning, like, the large developers, like, uh, you know, Resident Evil 7. That was a large game with a, large, already popular base behind it. But I know that indie developers, smaller developers, are definitely kind of going that length to get demos out. And that's good for them because that's definitely putting their name out there. But I still think that the larger developers should think about doing demos and stuff for their games, maybe to kind of show people what their newest game is going to be like. That way people don't got to guess. Like you said, you know, just because the game descriptors on the box say one thing doesn't mean that that's what the game is. And that's probably why a lot of people are pirating stuff. I mean, beyond the fact that some people are just cheap and don't want to pay for a $60 video game. But, some people just do it because they feel like they have no other means to test it out. And I'm not going to say that's everybody's motive behind pirating a game. Of course, there are those people out there that are like, oh, well, I'm not going to pay for this at all if I can just pirate it. Um, but, maybe those people who do just want to test the game out, maybe that can be avoided by the larger companies making demos for the stuff. And it might draw new people in. They never really know until they try it.
All right. Well, that was an interesting conversation. And then scrolling through IO9, we got the Wolverine, the new Logan clip, the new Optimus Prime, Stranger Things 2, another Pirates of the Caribbean, with
Oh boy.
yeah number 5,
Oh
and
lord.
number 5, and Guardians of the Galaxy, the uh the Super Bowl commercial, which aired last night. It was I enjoyed it.
Oh yeah,
Like,
I that was one of the main things that I went and watched, and it looks like it's going to be so good.
okay, but I've got issues with it. Okay, first of all, the blue skin guy never actually joins the Guardians in the comic books, and I don't even know who that woman is with the antenna on her head.
Isn't her name like Mantis or something like that?
I guess I don't know, and I'm like, I don't even know what who yeah who it is.
Hey man, they gotta cater to the booby loving audience for people who just go to
Okay,
see boobies.
Mantis. Yeah, but see, the Mantis is a little girl. She doesn't have boobies.
Is she a little girl?
Yeah, there's no.
Really?
Yeah, she.
She looked like an adult to me.
Okay, yeah, she looks adultish, but she doesn't have breasts per se. Plus, she's a mutant. What kind of guy would want to bang a mutant? Or okay,
You
okay,
know,
okay.
I was about to be like, that is very. Are you assuming people's sexual preferences now
No,
in 2016?
okay, but I, not
I know plenty of people who like mutant girls.
okay. Well, actually, she's not. She may not be a mutant. She might be an alien, which
Yeah.
that's a different categorization whatsoever. But that also brings up a safety issue because okay, barring the line, the separation between fantasy and reality, if if these fantasy characters made it are were created into reality, would it be healthy to engage in intimate congress with them? I would think not, because they have different body chemical compositions. Like that woman, she might have acid in her vagina, and some some guy tries to put his thing in there, and suddenly he doesn't have a thing, and I'm like, that is unsafe.
I'm actually looking at pictures of her right now. She is
Okay,
actually an adult. She definitely has boobies. They might not be giant ones, but she definitely has them. And it does look like she is in the comic in some way, shape, or form. I haven't read the comics, but she has green skin in them from these pictures that I'm looking at. I just went ahead and
okay.
Googled her. Um, they they did change her design though to the
Fr-
movie.
from the comics to, okay, that might be why I don't
Mm-hmm.
recognize her.
Yep, she had
Okay.
green skin
And
in the comics,
it,
and
oh,
she, from the looks of it, is in a like very different outfit.
a lot more
But they
revealing.
do. Uh, mm, Not really. Well, her arms are covered up a lot more. Like her body is more covered up in the comics from the looks of it.
Okay.
But in the movie, it looks like mainly the only part of her body that's actually showing is like from the neck up, and then like a few inches from the shoulders and her fingers. It looks like
Yeah.
that's
So.
really the only parts of her showing. So it's not anything provocative.
Hmm.
The outfit is tight on her though, so you can definitely see the assets there for sure. But she is in the comic, it looks like.
Yeah, but it doesn't look like she's a sexualized character.
No.
Unlike Gamora, Gamora is definitely sexualized.
Yeah.
Uh,
It
Well,
looks like there's another picture of her in the comic where she does have like regular peach skin, but I don't know what this is from. But the costume of this character is incredibly sexualized. This the comic book
okay.
one, but they do have her looking more modest in the movie.
Hmm.
But it looks like they're joining forces with a lot of people that they wouldn't have joined forces with in the first movie. That's for sure.
And well, here's some big news. Samurai Jack season 5.
I heard about that, and my friends are so hyped.
I'm
I haven't watched all of it.
I'm a little bit excited, but also I want to go back and rewatch the whole series again because I don't really remember. I remember a little bit about it, but not that much. Okay.
It's been a very, very long time.
Yeah.
I think I was in, I don't know, like my sophomore year of high school. I was probably about 16 the last time I watched that. So it's been a very long time.
Hmm. Oh, put a bell in your folder. That's good. Valentine's Day is coming up. That's not news.
That's to be like, I don't even know what I'm doing for Valentine's Day. Eh, Probably just gonna sit at home play
I
video games with the boyfriend. Probably the best plan.
I'm going
Long
in.
distance relationships.
I'm going around and punching women in the face.
Oh, rude.
No, I'm kidding.
Rude.
Well, it's because I hate most women because they're not decent or respectable.
Same thing can be said about men, though, too.
Yes, I will admit that it's a double standard, and it,
People in general are just
yeah.
something
And
else.
anyway, that's a topic for another day. Okay, well, let me get one more news source that I think is semi-reliable. I just went through IO9 and I just went through Lifehacker. Lifehacker isn't really about news. It's more like
Let's see. For anyone who was interested yesterday with the Super Bowl, the Patriots won 34 to 28. For anyone who cares.
that
I only know this because my dad was super hyped. Every time there was a goal, he was running up the stairs. They scored. They scored. And I was like, okay, awesome. That's great. I don't really care. Let me know when the Super Bowl commercials are on. I'll be downstairs. It's cool.
the issue though is the fact that the pa- the Falcons were up until the second half were playing really good, and then starting in the second half they started coasting, and that's not what they should have done. They should have kept going hard on the Patriots. The issue is that the Patriots is the most hated team in the NFL. So them getting another win for they've had a number of wins within the past decade or so, and like last year, the debacle with them halfway inflating the footballs so that they could play the game better. That
Oh.
cheating, yeah, cheating, underhanded tactics just because they want to win. There's no reason for that. The NFL is a sham of what it used to be. It's a sham.
I honestly, I can't keep up with sports. I have a hard time doing that. Just, it's like watching a bunch of men run after a ball
Okay, nope.
and just throwing a ball and watching them ball. Can we make that a thing? Can Super Bowl just be with like dogs instead of people?
Well,
I would watch that.
they have the puppy bowl that they air on no, not Animal Planet every year against the Super Bowl.
No, no, no. I mean, just like let's just get rid of sports as a whole and just replace all the players with puppies. Everyone will be happy. I feel like the world would be a happier place if there were more puppies in the world. And you know what? That's not to say anything about cat people, because I am a cat people. I actually have a cat. He's kind of a jerk because he's trying to knock everything over right now. But we could replace some sports with cats too. I don't think they'd cooperate very well, but we could try. Right, Moo? Now my cat's just staring at me like, you want me to do what now?
And then the Philip DeFranco shirt sports would be defunct.
Sports!
Yeah, sports.
I don't know why I'm here. I don't know who I'm cheering for, but sports!
Yeah,
Love
exactly.
Philip DeFranco. He's the best.
He's a good guy. It's unfortunate though about the news that uh, what they were trying to have a baby, and then she miscarried.
Yeah.
But,
That's really depressing. That takes a big toll on a lot of people, but things happen, and hopefully, if they want another kid, they'll have an easy time having another one now that like this is over. I know that I there's another YouTuber that I watch. I've been watching her since I was a teenager. I used to watch her so that I could learn how to do makeup because I was rubbish at it. But she's got a baby and she miscarried as well.
Mm,
Um, and now she's come back and she's 16 weeks now.
hmm,
So she's like, I didn't want to say anything too early on in case this one didn't stick like the last one did. She's like, but we're having another baby. I'm like, oh, well, that's good. It, and that's been kind of a thing with a lot of the girls that I watch on YouTube. Like, I don't know if you watch Super Mary Face.
it-
Uh,
yeah, I know.
she's
I watched.
she's a cosplayer.
I,
Yeah.
I watched Cinema Toast Ken, that's her husband.
That's her husband, boyfriend, something like that.
Yeah.
But she miscarried as well and then got pregnant. And so now she's 20 something weeks pregnant. I like
Hmm.
watching her for her cosplays and
Oh,
the snakes. I love their snakes. They're so cute.
yeah. Not, not to be that guy or anything, but yeah, boobs.
Yes.
Yes.
It's the same reason why Jessica Negri is my computer background. Like my dad, he comes upstairs and he's like, her boobs are too big. I'm like, no, they're
No, they're
not.
not.
I'm like, you just don't know good boobies.
Yeah. Just like a nigger, she's a piece. She's a nice piece.
Oh,
Uh,
yes. I like her personality. Honestly, I came for the boobs, I stayed for the personality. That's how I feel about Jessica Negri.
yeah. She did a voice. The new Sonicom game.
Supersonico!
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She did the voice, and Lost Paws Noble played through it, and he's like,
Papa bless
yeah,
Noble. Papa bless him.
he's like just he was a little bothered that Jessica Nigger was doing the voices, and he could just imagine Jessica do being in the booth and saying these things that are a little indecent.
I haven't played that game yet, but I plan on getting it and playing it because it looks so freaking funny. I
Hmm.
watched Noble play just a little bit of it because I didn't want to get too far into it and then spoil it for myself. That's how I kind of combat the like no demos thing for
Hmm.
PC games.
Yeah,
I'll go and I'll watch like a little bit of somebody playing through the game, and if it looks like it's interesting to me, I'll play it. Quantum Break was that? What's it? Quantum Break?
it might have
Hold
been.
on. Yes, Quantum Break. I watched Jacksepticeye play a little bit of that, and then I realized it was a game that I would want to play. And so I was like, okay, well, I should probably stop here so I don't spoil anything else for myself.
That's a TV series too, isn't it?
Uh,
I think it had a physical or a TV series on Netflix.
not sure. Oh, maybe it does.
Yeah, because it was supposed to, like, the events in the game were supposed to cross over and tie in with the events of the series,
Yep.
but it was not a very good marketing. It wasn't marketed very well, which is why it didn't sell very well.
Yeah, it looks like it only has one season,
Hmm.
2016. Huh. I didn't know that.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is it's got Littlefinger in it from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, yeah, I saw that. I love like the actor.
Yeah, he did
He
it.
just
He's one of the better actors on that show. He's really good. All right. Next piece of news. That twinkling background behind Lady Gaga at the Super Bowl halftime show wasn't CGI. It was hundreds of synchronized drones.
what?
Yeah. So that's a thing. Drones.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Drones, man. They'll take over the world one day.
Okay, there have been in the news the ransomware attacks. You heard about the hospital that got their servers shut down and uh, all their devices hacked and stuff like that.
No, I
Yeah.
didn't hear about that
Okay,
one.
but there were hackers holding the hospital ransom, demanding a certain amount of money before they would allow the hospital to reinitialize all their software and stuff to be working again. But there was also a police station somewhere that that got held up for ransom, but they didn't. The police didn't pay the ransom. They just wiped their servers, which got rid of a whole bunch of evidence. But
No.
but the well, that's both a good and a bad thing. But that's neither here nor there. But anyway, recently there were hackers that held a whole town for ransom.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they basically shut down the whole town and wanted money just to let the town go and allow them to start everything.
You know, I have to wonder with people who like shut down hospitals, why? Like,
Well, oh, okay. Here's my perspective. If your security is weak enough that somebody can get in there and do all sorts of nasty stuff to it, then you're doing it wrong.
yeah,
It,
but I mean, I don't know. It's kind of crappy on the people who held the stuff like that and didn't let words are hard sometimes. But like it's kind of crappy on the people who kind of held the hospital
yeah,
ransom like that because it's like how many people were in that hospital that needed help that weren't getting it because of this problem? Like
the innocence,
it's
innocent bystanders.
yeah, like just so I can understand. Well, okay, there's no reason for you to do a really shitty thing that could jeopardize anyone's life, but I like I feel like if it were beef with like a person and going and messing with that person, I guess if you had a good enough reason and you just didn't have anything better to do with your life, like okay, whatever. But when you put innocent people into a bad situation just because you want to prove a point, I feel like that's kind of crappy because you don't know that person, like these people that you're messing with, you don't know what sort of stuff they're going through. And you could ruin and potentially end a life. That's like gunners shooting innocent bystanders standers for what reason? What what are you proving? Absolutely nothing. That you're just mentally unstable. But I mean, I guess that's where it kind of stems from. Crazy people do crazy things, I suppose.
Yeah, a good example of this is the Elliot Roger kid. Did you hear about that story? It
Mm-mm.
okay. This guy, this he like had tons of money and stuff like that. He went to a sorority and was asking some of the uh, he was trying to get with some of the ladies. Okay, they well, of course they're gonna reject him because they're personal whatever.
For their own personal
Yeah,
reasons.
for their
You
own
don't
person.
have to.
Yeah, but see, most guys are like, well, I'm rejected, so I'll just keep going on. No, what this guy did, this prime example of uh, of the human condition, he went and he got a gun somewhere. He went back to the sorority and started shooting in the direction of the building, but also just in random directions trying to actively hurt the girls, hurt the ladies, because of the fact that he was rejected.
I feel like people like that are just, they need help. They
Yeah, but
definitely need to seek medical help.
okay. Well, uh, to give you a different perspective, uh, what uh, he should have found a girl that would have said yes.
I mean, I don't know how he was going about this. Like, was he just walking in and being like, "Hey, BB, you want some
No,
of this?"
he
Or
was
was he like actively trying to make friends with one of these girls? Like, I feel like it's crappy on any person. And this is saying it could be anyone. If they get into a friendship with someone expecting something out of it. Like if you become friends with someone, and this could be anything, this could be sex, money, uh, material objects. If you go into any sort of relationship expecting some form of like you getting something back for being nice to this person, I feel like you're an indecent human being. Never would I go into a friendship being like, yeah, I'm going to be friends with this person because they're going to owe me later. We're going to bang. Like that's not how things should be. You should go into a friendship being like, "Oh, well, I like this person. They're interesting, and if this goes any further, then awesome. That would be awesome for, me and hopefully for them, but if it doesn't happen, I'm not expecting anything." Like I just feel like that's how it should be. And unfortunately, that's not how it is because people feel like they're entitled to certain things. Like, just because you're friends with someone who has a lot of money doesn't mean you're entitled to that money. Or just because you're friends with someone, one that I get really like quite a bit is just because you're friends with me does not qualify you to get free artwork because I'm an artist.
mm-hmm.
And just because we're friends or just because we're family doesn't mean that I owe you anything. And just because you're nice to me doesn't mean I owe you anything in that sense. Like, this is my job, this is how I have to make money. If I decide that I want to gift you something, that should be from me, but you shouldn't expect it.
Yeah. Well, to just make a joke, you became friends with me because of my YouTube money. I'm gonna start making that PewDiePie money.
Oh man. I'm becoming friends with you so I can make bank. No, I'm just kidding. I honestly, when I go into stuff, I'm just like, you know what? I could make money from this, but I'm probably not going to. So whatever, I'm doing it because I think it's fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But well, I just it's difficult nowadays being a guy or being a woman or being whatever gender at all and
It's rough just being a person, I think.
trying to find a significant other or trying to find a person that you actually want to spend time with.
That kind of brings up the thing in Japan, actually, which is kind of like a good point to this. How they're like Japanese society is actively trying to get their young adults to kind of like get out on that dating scene, but it's very hard. And I feel like it's gotten harder with the like rise in technology because back when I was, even as a teenager, it was easy to kind of, go to school and make a friend and that friend potentially becoming a, romantic interest and then just kind of going from there. But before me and my boyfriend got together, it was very hard to kind of find people that I felt like had a common interest with me as an adult because I was going to college, but I was kind of like trying to just focus on my work while I was there. And then I would leave my school and go straight to work, and everybody that I worked with were all adults, like adults, older, like 30s, 40 years old, and most of them were women with families because I worked at a nursing home at the time. And I feel like the rise in technology has made it easier in some ways, but also harder in some ways because my generation is now more focused on using things like can't think of the ones. I know of Grinder because I have a friend who uses Grinder. I don't know what it is. I know what it's called though. It's one of those like dating apps.
Yeah,
And there are a lot of people that are kind of like depending on those to get them a good relationship when when you get on that app, you don't know who you're talking to. And that's not saying that people are like actively faking accounts. I mean, there are people who fake accounts to, what is it, catfish someone or something like that. But like, there are genuine people on those accounts and who are looking for a genuine relationship. But I feel like people think nowadays, after being on the dating apps and the dating sites, that if it doesn't hit off right away, then it's not worth continuing. You know, and it takes time to build up a really good, solid relationship. Some people can do it really fast and they just get married really fast and they're happy with that life. And that's great. Good on them. But other people, it takes more time. And it's really rough. When I had to do the dating thing, there were a lot of weird things that I came across. Which was normal for the person, but it wasn't like my normal. There were a lot of guys that were trying to tell me how to live my life, and I'm not like that. I can't handle somebody telling me how I should dress or how I should act because it's like, hey, if you're gonna get into a relationship with me, you're coming into it for me, not for what I can be. And so, I don't know. I feel like things were probably simpler back in the day when you had to meet people face to talk to them than meeting them online.
things were even more simpler in the caveman times when if you wanted the woman, you'd go out and bash her in the head with a club and drag her back to your cave.
Yep. And then that was it. GG.
Yeah,
Marriage happened.
yeah. That's what I want.
I mean, I think technology is just making relationships in general, like not just romantic ones, but friends and stuff. It's making it very hard
It,
because,
it's more shallow. It's not. It's
yeah,
more. You're communicating with the person, but you're not actually. You're talking with them, but you're not actually communicating with them.
yeah. Like it's hard to build up a sense of caring for a person when you don't know them in person.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a big problem that I have, that when I make friendships online and stuff, uh I tread very lightly with them because one, I don't know who this person is that I'm talking to behind the screen. Um and I don't know what sort of motives they have. As I said, there are always people out there that are looking for the next person they can use. You
Mm.
know,
Mhm.
and as an artist with a little bit larger of a following, it's very easy for you to let people take advantage of you. And I've had to toughen up quite a bit over the past several years because I used to let people take advantage of me a lot, and now I'm kind of realizing that I don't owe anything to, and that I should do things based on what I want to do or what I am paid to do. So, and that, giving gifts to friends and stuff. Unfortunately, I love giving gifts to my friends. But unfortunately work does have to come first. Uh and some people don't understand that. But, you know, I just recently had to learn the hard way that one of the people I was talking to, they weren't weren't talking to me because they wanted to be my friend. They were talking to me because they wanted artwork. And I found that out through them coming to me and being like, my artist friends are always making artwork for all of their artist friends, but they're never making anything for me. And I just kind of had to step back and I was like, okay, one, who do you think you're talking to?
Yeah.
Two, your artist friends, just because you guys are friends doesn't mean they owe you anything. And then I asked them, I'm like, well, do you give them anything as a sign of like your friendship? I'm like, do you buy them anything? Do you pay artists to draw artwork of their characters or something? I don't know, just anything to show that you appreciate them as a friend. Because they were all about, well, they could give me stuff as a sign of appreciation. And I'm like, but do you give them anything as a sign of appreciation? And they got real quiet. And I'm like, with some people, you got to give a little to get a little. You know, and it's like that with people. They just expect the world to kind of give them whatever. And that's a big problem with with teenagers nowadays. Not to kind of pin down any like all teenagers into the same bubble, but I've noticed that a lot of the like teenagers I know think that the world owes them everything when in reality it's like no, you've got to work for it. Like I don't think you understand that. Like people expect, uh little younger friends that I have are like, well, I posted a video on YouTube and I don't know why I'm not making money. It's like, well, how many videos you got? I've got two. How long have you been doing this? Well, for the past year and a half. Okay. Um, have you thought about making a regular upload like schedule? Have you thought about like a specific content? You gotta work at this, and I've had to learn that through uh, my artwork because I make decals as well. Uh, you gotta kind of upload regularly if you want like a regular following, and it's not easy. People think that you just kind of sit behind a computer and hit a bunch of keys. No, no, you don't.
Nope. There's
Sometimes you got to bang your head on the keyboard 20 billion times.
yep.
That definitely takes its toll on you.
Yeah, I understand how that is being a YouTuber myself, having to
Oh,
make.
YouTube's a pain in the butt,
Yeah.
especially when a video file is corrupt. Have you ever had that problem? Oh my lord. Hate when
I
that happens.
I haven't run into that yet.
Oh, there'll be a time. There will be a time.
I'm
And
pretty
you'll
sure.
cry.
Yep. I'm pretty sure it'll happen.
Or when you make a video and like if you use like a internet based editor and
Hmm.
you make an entire video, you get to the end, you're completely finished, and then you realize like you accidentally click out of a page and then realize that it never saved your video in the first place. I've never been so angry in my entire life as I was the first time that happened.
All right. Well, here's another issue that's come up recently. Speaking of working and having jobs, in case you needed another reason to despise GameStop, have you heard about that lately? Uh,
I haven't heard anything about GameStop and now
okay.
I'm very worried.
Okay. What's recently come to light is GameStop, the corporate, have begun this program called Circle of Life, which okay, let me read this verbatim. Okay, the idea is that customers should buy games, trade them back into GameStop, and use the proceeds of those trades to buy more games. GameStop's profit margin for used games is way higher than it is for new games, so it's always been in the company's best interest to push used products. So basically, if you'd go in there and ask for a sealed copy of a brand new game, they would, even if they had copies of it, they wouldn't sell it to you. They would just tell you that we don't have it in stock, and then you would leave because of the fact that they want you to purchase used games or purchase like their card, or purchase the peripherals that they have out, the used peripherals. They're all about the selling the used stuff. But with the Circle of Life was promoting this, that they at that if the employees didn't promote selling the used stuff and actually promoted selling the new stuff, the employees would get punished or fired. So now that it's become a huge a huge gaming story, and now all these stories are coming out about it, and
Hmm.
it's bad, kind of bad business, because when you're in business to make a profit, yes, but at the same time, you don't want to lose customers because of the fact that you're not selling specific things. Like, okay, for to use my current employment as an example, I work at a Japanese restaurant, and we sell sushi, and we sell, like, we have dinners and stuff like that. Well, for about a week, we didn't have a sushi chef because the we had hired one and another one left, but the one we had hired, it was going to take them a little while for them to change over all their stuff. So they weren't able to get here to start working. So for about a week, we weren't selling sushi. So for those customers who came in wanting sushi, we were like, "Oh, sorry, we can't help you because we don't have sushi." So that right there, that's a lost sale, which does affect the profit, yes, but at the same time, we really couldn't do anything about it
Yeah.
because of the way the corporate structure was, because of the way the management structure is.
It's a little different though because the GameStops will probably have this new product in,
Yeah.
but they're saying that they don't for the sake of getting a person to buy a used product.
Mhm.
And so, mm, honestly, I think it should be at customers' like choice whether they want to buy a used game or not. I don't think the company should force them to buy a used game because that's what the company wants. Like if a new game is available and that's what the customer wants to pay for is a new game, I as a business person would much rather have my customer have the new game so that I could make profit than tell my customer, no, we only have used games. And then they walk out of my store because they wanted a new one. And I don't have, or I'm not going to offer that to them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's a big flaw in their marketing thing right now that they should probably rethink. And I hope there are people out there that don't just. I know there are a lot of parents who just kind of like roll their eyes and are like, okay, I'll take the used game for their kids. But there are some people who want the game new, and I hope those people don't just roll their eyes and take the used game. I hope they walk out. Maybe that'll teach GameStop a lesson, especially since they're firing their employees for not going by this protocol. That's a really stupid reason to fire a person.
Oh. Yeah. Well, okay. Because an example they gave is there was a new game that came out, and a new version was like 27 something, whereas the used version was like 54 something. And the people at GameStop, the corporate, were like, well, we want you to sell the used version. We want you to push the used version. And if people ask if you have any copies of the new version, even if you have the new version, don't sell it to them. Which is it is a my friends posted about this on Facebook, And my response to them was like, uh, profit is their motive,
Mm-hmm.
which it when you're in business, that's what you have to be concerned with. Is the bottom line is staying in the black and not going into the red. Which, but then, with their corporate structure, a lot of the money that they make gets funneled upwards to where they're paying the CEOs and the executives tons of money, and they're not paying their workforce is getting paid minimum wage,
Mm-hmm.
which is another issue. Why, like what the issues they had in Seattle, where all those McDonald's employees were saying we want $15 an hour, but at the same time, the people in corporate are making a lot of money, yes, but they're also deciding, they're taking into account, well, are these employees worth $15 an hour? And if not, then, well, they can let them go and say, well, your valuation to the company is not equivalent to how much you want to get paid. It's equivalent to how much we want to pay you. And if you're unsatisfied with how much we want to pay you, then you can just go find another job.
Yeah. And there are a lot of places that are, I don't know if in your area at all you have McDonald's that are bringing in the like the kiosk thing.
No,
So
it's
basically, it's just it looks like a little advertisement sitting in the middle of the floor, and there will be like two of them, and you walk up and you pretty much order your own food. So you just kind of push on the screen what you want and how you want it made, and then you just click to enter, swipe your card, and then that sends it back to the grill. So McDonald's is kind of combating that, like people wanting $15 an hour by just being like, well, you want $15 an hour, I guess we can cut a bunch of people and just put these kiosks in every store. And that way you just skip the middleman to get in the food. And that's what a lot of places are doing, which is good for the high up businessmen because then they don't got to pay money to, more people. They make more money, but it's bad for the low people who are just looking for a job.
yeah, it's also bad for consumers because uh, when I go into like a fast food restaurant or a restaurant period, when you're ordering food, you want to be able to talk to a person. Like if I were to go to one of those kiosks and I wanted my order like super specialized, and then the computer is like, well, I can't do that, and then I tell the computer why not, but the computer doesn't speak back to me. It just says no,
Yeah.
and I'm like that. This is not a a this experience was not satisfactory to me. I would rather deal with the person who knows like what buttons to press and can assist me with like if they're having any sales or promotions or coupons. Or to give a good example, there's a Taco Bell KFC right next to where I work at, and one I go in there a, a good amount to where the people who work the front register know what I want. I'm like uh, a
You're a regular there.
yeah, I'm a regular. So it's like as soon as they see me walk in the door, they press the button, they send the order back, and they have it up there right when I get to the cash register. And I'm like,
But
yes,
a computer can't do that.
exactly. A computer can't do that.
See, and this ties back to the like people and the interaction between people is becoming harder due to technology. So this just kind of like ties right back to what we were talking about earlier. And our world is becoming incredibly tech based,
Mm-hmm.
if you will. And companies, unfortunately, in these instances, big companies don't care about how many employees they can get. They care about how much money they can save. You work a minimum wage job. If you've ever worked a minimum wage job in the past, however long, 20 something years, it's my understanding that like the amount of money going out, like my dad's a manager for a restaurant, and he even says that he has to watch how much money they're spending out on paying for the employees. And if they start going over their limit, they send people home. And then an hour or so later, they get smashed. And then that one or two people that are there, because they weren't cut and told to go home, they got to suffer through that. And that's taking a big toll on the employees as well, which is why the employees want to be paid more money, because not only is the living wage like what you make from a minimum wage job is not a living wage, but also you're suffering too much for too little of pay. The kiosk things are good for, like I said, the big business guys, but they're bad for the little people just trying to find a job. And I still think myself I'm past minimum wage jobs now. I don't ever plan to get one again, but I have it set up that I don't have to get a minimum wage job because I've got a job that I already work that I built up myself. But there are people who are just trying to get started, or maybe there are people who come from a similar situation as myself and they don't have set up what I have set up. And even though they're an adult, they still got to go and get a minimum wage job. And there's like, this is just touching upon the argument that minimum wage jobs aren't meant to be living wage jobs, but they're meant to be for like teenagers who are looking for a small job to do over the summer or whatnot. But with the way society is nowadays, there are a lot of people that need to have a minimum wage job just to live. And then they have to carry three or four just to exist, which is hard. It's really hard. Because I've been there coming from that background, and it takes a lot out of you. And I'm happy that I'm hopefully going to continue to be past it. I'm just going to keep my fingers crossed and hope that whatever deity's up there doesn't try to strike me down again, because I swear to God, 2016 sucked.
Yeah, one of the issues is that because you were talking about a living wage, but it's every year the standard of living increases by a certain amount. So you've got the middle class that's slowly separating the people who are upper middle class and middle class. So they're they're making more money, which means they're going upwards, and then the lower middle class and the lower end of the middle class is going downwards into the getting into into poverty issue, because the standard of living it increases, but the companies and the businesses in America are not paying their employees more.
Yeah. And that was something that I had brought up with my friends several months ago. We were talking about what a pay increase would mean. Honestly, the the consensus, I think that's the word I'm looking for. I like to use big words sometimes and then I forget what they mean. But essentially, we realized that it would be more helpful instead of them raising minimum wage to get these people up higher, lowering the cost of living. So like food, the price of food has went up a lot, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um the price of clothing and medical and all of that stuff, it's rising, and these people don't have the money. These people working these minimum wage jobs don't have the money to take care of all of this stuff they have to pay for, and it's causing a problem. So maybe a decrease on the like how much stuff costs would be more helpful, more efficient than just raising everyone's income. And I'm sure there's more behind it than just that on like economic level, but when you think of it long term, if you raise, just say for the sake of this argument, McDonald's worker, if you raise their income, then that means the prices of what's being sold at McDonald's is also going to raise, because companies are going to be looking for how they can make up the fact that they have to pay their employees more, because those big guys on top aren't going to take that pay cut most of the time. Um, but it would probably just be a matter of lowering that living cost instead of raising the minimum wage. Though minimum wage definitely does need to be raised a bit, because even if you're living in an apartment, I know in my area, I'm not sure what rent in an apartment is like in your area, but one bedroom, a studio apartment, which is just one big room and like a kitchen and a bathroom. Studio apartments are like $400 a month, which to someone who's not working a minimum wage job, that's pretty fair. Then you got to pay your electricity, which is however much, your water, sewer, trash. You've got to furnish the apartment. You've got to pay, like, most times apartments need you to pay 1 month's rent ahead of time, uh, so that way they can tell you're not gonna screw them over or whatever. And it just, if you got to buy a refrigerator or a stove or a microwave, all of that stuff, it really adds up, and it's very hard for people to get out into the world now. And it's like that in, as I said before, in Japan, where kids are not wanting to leave home because it's cheaper for them to stay at home and not have to pay to start their life out in the big world on their own. And it's tough for people who aren't of the like higher middle class, higher class, and especially if you don't have parents who are willing to help you, or a family who is willing to help you. It's even harder when you've got that behind you, when your family is more destructive toward you than they are, productive and trying to encourage you to do things. And that's the type of background I come from. Um, that the parent I was living with was more destructive toward me when I was younger. And she didn't want me to grow up and move out of the house. And so she was doing everything she could to keep me under that line so that I couldn't go out and do better for myself. And now I'm fixing that. And unfortunately, that's how some people have to live their lives. And it kind of sucks, you know?
So are we a product of our environment, or is our environment a product of us?
That's a very good
Yeah,
question.
yeah, yeah. One one of the thoughts that I had, well, if they if they don't want to work the job making the food, or whatever, or waiting on the customer, well, since we're getting more technologically advanced, why don't they try to try to learn how to fix the machines?
Yeah.
Like if a kiosk breaks down, they can be like, well, here, yeah, I can fix this, and you can pay me such and such, and to where the person does the maintenance on the machines, so that they can work for the company that does the maintenance on the machines, so that way they don't have to work for the company that sells the food.
Yeah. And that was another point that me and my friends brought up as well, is that some people, if you don't want to live in poverty, then you should actively try to get out of it, because there are ways.
Hmm.
Trust me when I say there are ways to do it. I currently still am I'm in between lower and middle class. I have enough to pay for myself to exist. I don't have enough to do more than that right now, which is what I'm working on. But there are people who are comfortable living in that poverty, or they make up excuses to try to continue to live in that poverty. Um, but there are ways to get out of it. One of my friends found that he could go and work for the post office, and he didn't have to work a minimum wage job. He works at the post office making $12 an hour, which here is over minimum wage. Minimum wage where I'm at is $8, I do believe. And he gets paid 12. So I know that's not too high of an increase, but still every dollar definitely adds up over time. And he gets 40 hours a week, and he does all of these things, and he's digging himself out of the hole. So I think maybe another problem with these people in the minimum wage ordeal is, how bad do you want to leave poverty? Do you want to continue living in it? If so, go ahead, continue making your excuses as to why you can't get another job, why you can't find a better job, why you can't do this, why you can't do that. Or pick yourself up and be like, okay, I'm going to go put in applications at this place that I know pays more, or this place that I know pays more, and actually actively try to pull yourself from it. And I know it's easier said than done for some people. There are some people who have restrictions on that. I understand that anxiety is a hard thing to deal with. Depression, like invisible illnesses, are very hard to have while working at even a fast food joint, because your employer 9 times out of 10 doesn't understand it. Um, and then there are people with physical disabilities, like actual can't walk or can't do this, can't do that, that they do indeed struggle quite a bit. But there are companies that, if you are willing to look for them, they are willing to work with you. And so I think it's that, maybe society's gotten a little bit too lazy in some areas, and people need to fix that. Because my grandpa uh, always told me, he was like, if you're willing to work hard at something, you will always succeed. You will fall several times, keep picking yourself back up, and keep going. If you want to get out of something, if you don't want to have to live that way anymore, keep walking, keep going. You can't just give up. And I think that's what a lot of people have been doing, is they find themselves in a job and they stop and they just sit down on the ground and they don't go any further. Which, someone that I know had that issue. She didn't want to leave a minimum wage job that she had because she was comfortable there, and her regulars took great care of her and all of this other stuff. But in reality, it took her to get fired for her to push herself out of that job that she was so comfortable at, that she was comfortable living in poverty, for her to get herself a good job that pays a good amount of money. And she was able to pay all of her bills in her first paycheck, which meant that all of the other paychecks she got that month she could just save, which is great. But you got to be pushed, and that's learning. You have to be pushed out of things. You got to be pushed out of your comfort zone to succeed and improve. And a lot of people just aren't willing to make that step.
Yeah, that's that that
Realizations.
no, that does strike a personal chord with me. I mean, because I am guilty of that myself. When I get
Oh,
home,
I'm very guilty of it too.
yeah,
But
when I get home from working,
the
I'm like so tired, and all I want to do is just go to bed. But I know I've got to do stuff like doing this today. I was looking forward to doing it at 10 o'clock.
yeah,
And
I am so sorry. I don't even know what happened to me last night, but oh my God, I swear somebody just pulled all of the like marrow of my bones out and like filled it with lava. I don't know
ouch.
what I did. I don't know if it was something that I ate that was making my entire body hurt, if it was like a, I guess for lack of better words, like a flu bug, but I was in just constant pain and I needed to get myself more sleep because when I woke up at 9, because I had an alarm set at like 8:20, and I woke up and my entire body just felt like death incarnate, and I was like, oh no, I can't do this right now. And I should have gotten up and let you know, but I just, oh my lord. I just could hardly roll over to turn my alarm off. I wish I knew what was wrong. I'm feeling better now than I was last night and this morning, but oh my god, I don't want to ever go through that again.
All right. Well, let's move on to our final thing. Future content, future culture we're looking forward to.
Well, we definitely touched upon Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yep.
I'm super excited for it.
And
And
Konosuba,
I,
yeah, Konosuba season 2.
mm-hmm. Um, as well as Game of Thrones is getting closer and closer, season 7.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I'm really excited for that. I'm wanting to say they have two, this one and then another one, but I'm not positive, so don't quote me on it. Uh, let's see, another one that's coming out March 31st, at least here in the United States. We're getting Ghost in the Shell standalone complex. Or not standalone complex, but Ghost in the Shell. I was
Mm-hmm.
looking up at my poster on the
Yeah.
wall. But Ghost in the Shell is happening. There was a lot of controversy on that when it was first being rumored, because a lot of people were like, Scarlett Johansson shouldn't be in it. They should cast a an Asian actress to play Major. But I don't know. I I'm just excited that this is happening because it is one of my favorite anime. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed because I'm hopeful for a good live action done from an anime. I am hopeful. We don't want to talk about Dragon Ball Z, or I know Avatar The Last Airbender wasn't a an anime per se, but why? Like, I feel like I've had enough crappy live action from anime movies that I just want something to be successful. I don't care who's playing in it. I just want it to be successful for once.
There's a game coming up within the next month, within the next few days. Horizon Zero Dawn. It's
That game looks beautiful.
humans
That
versus mechanical animals, basically.
I'm gonna have to go over to my friend's house and steal his PlayStation for a little while and play that one because I've seen that one since I think before they even brought out the PlayStation 4. I think, uh, but that and the Last Guardian. I know the Last Guardian came out, and I don't have the money to get a PlayStation every time a new one comes out, or an Xbox every time the new one comes out. So I just stick with my trusty PC and fix whatever breaks on it when it does break. Uh, but that's definitely that game and The Last Guardian were the two that I wanted to play. So definitely going to be kidnapping a PlayStation 4 from my friend later on. um, we also have the Nintendo Switch coming out relatively soon, along with its launch title, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which I'm excited for that one as well, as are a lot of people, because it's my understanding from seeing the gameplay that Skyrim and Legend of Zelda made sweet, sweet love and had this beautiful child. I'm not going to be getting the Switch right away, but you can bet that I'm going to be getting the Wii U version of the game, which I'm happy that they decided to release it on the Wii U because I don't have the money to buy a Switch right now.
My issue with it is that they're trying to make Zelda survival oriented.
It's
You know,
going to be interesting. It's going to be a very interesting turn for Legend of Zelda, and I can only hope that it turns out well. Uh, I was mind blown by the voice acting. I come from a time when none of them were voice acted,
yeah, but
and so
I didn't even know it was going to be voice acted.
yep, there it is going to be voice acted. It's my understanding Link still isn't going to talk. There's reasons for that, as we saw with the PC game and the TV series. Link just needs to keep his mouth shut. That's what we learned from those two. But yeah, I'm very, very interested in this. I know they did voice acting for Hyrule Warriors, but while that's like a Zelda game, kind of, it's it's Dynasty Warriors with Zelda skins. Like that's all that game is. So it doesn't really have any story or any tie-in, I don't think, with the actual Legend of Zelda games. And so I just kind of chalk it up as, oh, this was just kind of like a side thing that they did. But Skyward Sword was really good. Hopefully Breath of the Wild will be really good. And maybe if this whole open world thing works out for them, maybe we'll be seeing more Legend of Zelda titles with such a large open world like this one. Um, it's my understanding that you can play that game beginning to end from the start, but you're not going to find out uh, anything. Like you can play it in a few minutes, but you're not going to find out any of the back.
Yeah, you can beat the final boss in 15 minutes.
Yeah. Um, but I'm very interested.
We're getting cut off.
What?
Sometimes your mic gets cut off.
Oh crap!
Yeah. So
It's probably because the I keep moving my head further and further away from the microphone. I should probably sit a little bit closer to it. Um, my sensitivity on this isn't perfect,
yeah.
but it's yeah. I'm hopeful for this one because I did really like Skyrim, and Legend of Zelda is by far my favorite game series, whatever you want to call it. Um, so there are big hopes for it. And some of the other titles they're bringing out for the Switch, we're going to be getting things like a new Splatoon that I haven't really looked into. But I'm just naming things that I know are going to be a thing. There was one that I saw, I don't know what it's called, but like it's boxing, but the character's arms are like springs.
It's called Arms.
Is that what it's called? Are you
Yeah,
kidding me?
yeah, that's what it's called, Arms.
Beautiful. Yeah, that one's gonna be a thing. I let's see, other titles.
And
I know they plan to bring Skyrim to the
yeah,
system.
yeah. One of the games that we were talking about earlier, they're bringing ukulele to it.
Yeah.
And
Which
then
that's very interesting. I'm looking
yeah,
forward to ukulele. I haven't been following it too much, but from what I understand, it's kind of like a reboot of Banjo-Kazooie.
yes,
So,
mm,
very hopeful for that. It looks
yeah.
cute. So,
I'm getting the PC version as soon as it comes out
I
because
might end up getting it as well.
either I'll get the PC version or the PS4 version. But
Yeah.
I the Mario game, that's the one that's gonna sell their system. Mario Grand Theft Auto. That's what it. That's what it is. It's Mario Grand Theft Auto.
I haven't even looked at that one. Oh, now I'm curious.
If you watch the teaser trailer for it, you're gonna see him. It's
Is it Super Mario Odyssey?
yeah,
Okay, I gotta look at this right now because I am so very curious. GTA meets Super Mario. Okay, let's
yeah.
go.
Let's go.
Oh my god, it is. It's it opens onto a big city. This is GTA
Yep.
with GTA graphics actually too
Y-
from the looks of it.
yeah.
Mario, what are you doing in GTA? Get back to your own game.
Well, he does actually go to like other places and stuff that are more fantasy oriented.
Watch them just kind of jump on taxi cabs, but can he take the cars? That's the important question. Oh. Oh boy, I'm gonna have to get this game. Oh my god, my little brother's gonna lose his mind. My
Okay.
little brother absolutely loves Mario.
Just
This
wait
might
for
be a little bit too much for him, though.
yeah. Just wait for the hat.
Going swimming.
Yep.
Oh, this little like pixely game looks familiar too. I don't know the name of it. It looks like little crystal. Everything's crystals. Nintendo, did you just rip off a bunch of video games? Nintendo, what
Yep.
are you doing?
Yep.
Oh, Bowser's hat's off. Oh, you can
Mm,
throw your hat like a boomerang now and jump on it?
yeah.
Man, Mario really needs to quit on the magic mushrooms, man. Holy crap. He's done so many shrooms that now he's in every other game.
Yep.
I think we need to have a talk with Mario. I think these drugs are getting too much for him.
Have an intervention.
Yeah, he needs an intervention. That's the word I was looking for. Couldn't think of it though.
He needs to go to the Wreck-It Ralph help center.
Yeah.
I am a good guy, but sometimes
Oh,
I am bad. Oh,
his hat has eyeballs.
yes, the hat. Yeah, the hat.
Oh my lord.
Yeah, guess where they ripped that from?
What?
A Zelda Minish Cap.
Oh my god, that's right. Doggone it, Nintendo. How dare you rip yourself off too? Well, is that gonna be another launch title or when is
No,
that coming
they're
out?
not putting that out to winter.
Okay. So
But
we're gonna get
yeah,
Zelda is our launch title then is what we're getting.
mm, plus
Well,
the
that's I guess I have till winter time to get the Switch and then watch my little brother lose his damn mind.
well, hopefully what they'll do is they'll put it on sale because when they put it on sale, that's when I'm gonna get mine.
Oh yeah. I,
Because
I'm looking forward to see one of two things. So I'm either looking for the sale to happen or for a Legend of Zelda edition to happen. because
This,
it happens with most of their systems that they bring out.
yeah.
So there's always a Legend of Zelda edition. There was a Legend of Zelda edition Wii, which were Wii U that my boyfriend has that I should probably punch him in the face and take off with it. Um, there's the DSs, the 3DSs. I think the DS had one. Uh, I don't remember if the Wii had one. I know they had a Wii controller
Yeah.
for it,
Yep.
but
I'm looking at the
Zelda's
case for that right
yeah.
now. Skyward Sword had the
Yep.
gold Triforce controller.
I had that controller. I pre-ordered it. That was my birthday present from my little sister,
Mm.
and it's gone.
Hmm.
It has sprouted legs and left my life forever. I don't know where it is. I've torn everything apart. I've moved 4 different times and searched for it every time I've moved. Can't find it. I have one thought of what could happen to it, and I'm pretty certain that's probably what ended up happening. But stuff
Yep.
happens. I
Yep.
guess I'm just gonna cry until I find one somewhere and just
Com-
buy it.
comes and goes, right?
Right? That's life.
Yep.
Easy come, easy go.
All right. So, anything else we're looking forward to in the future?
Let's see.
Oh,
Well, we hit on.
South Park, the Shattered Butthole.
Oh no.
Yes, yes. I'm looking.
Man, I haven't played any of those games, but I have heard nothing but good stuff about them.
Yeah, um the new one. There it is. Okay. Oh, that's not what I wanted. The new one is involving superheroes. It's going from
Oh boy.
it's going from the Final Fantasy stuff, or the fantasy stuff. They're going to superheroes, which is going to be great. The thing that I don't like about it though is that they're turning it from an RPG based fighting system to more a strategy based fighting system,
Huh.
which would means you'll have to go on a grid.
Let's see. Let's pull up some other things. Oh, February 14th, we are getting a game called For Honor.
Oh,
Um,
nope.
have you seen anything of that?
Yes, it is different. Like it's samurais versus Vikings versus knights versus something else, and
It's Vikings, Samurai, or Knight.
yeah,
Oh, that's all they have on,
yeah,
listed.
but it's basically a sword fighting game, pretty much.
Yeah.
There's no
It,
story.
it does look really nice, though, visually. Let's see. Halo Wars 2. That's territory I don't know anything about.
It's
But we're going to be.
that's a real time strategy. It's like Advanced Wars. It's like StarCraft, and where you have your units, you move your units, and engage in
Mhm.
battles. And that's a nope for me also. But
That one's coming out February 21st. Lego Worlds is coming out on the 24th of this month.
now that one looks really good. In fact, one of the YouTubers I watch, Rockley Smile, him and his girlfriend Lynn Mack, they played that together, and it's going to be more customizable than any of the Lego games preceding it. It's going to be
So it's going to be more like Legos
it,
then.
it's going to be more like Minecraft. It's going to
Ooh,
be Lego
that sounds.
Minecraft. Yeah.
Let's see. March 1st, my birthday. Horizon Zero Dawn
Yep.
is coming. March 3rd, we're getting Breath of the Wild.
And that's also the release date for the Switch.
Uh, March 7th, we're getting Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands. I again don't know much about that one either.
Okay, there's an issue with the PC port, with the PC version. Is all it's going to be released for? Or is it going to be released for multiple consoles also?
PS4, Xbox One, PCs. What we're
Okay,
getting.
what with the PS4 and the Xbox One, there's not going to be crossplay, but with the PC version, you actually have to have UPlay, which is the client that Ubisoft uses to play their games. And then you have to install UPlay, and you have to install all sorts of other drivers and just random stuff to play it. So that,
Well, it sounds like you're gonna really have to want to play this game to be able to
yeah,
play it then.
yep. Unless you pirate it.
we're we're not supporting pirating.
No,
We should put that out there right now.
yeah.
We don't want to get in trouble for that. Uh, near
Ne-
Automa. I
near
don't even know how to pronounce that.
pronounce
Pronounce.
pronounce. Near Automata. It's the sequel to the Near game for Xbox 360, which is a spiritual sequel to the Drakengard series for PS2.
Okay.
One of the endings for one of the Drakengard games, one of the rare endings to get, that's the pre-story to the Nier series. The Nier series is more like Dark Soulsy.
Mm.
Uh,
So impossible to beat.
Not impossible, but just really hard.
Let's
Okay.
see. Other guys were getting another one that I can't believe I didn't mention it. Mass Effect Andromeda will be coming out March 23rd. I was a big fan of the Mass Effect games. Uh, we're not going to talk about how angry I was at the ending of the third game and how I attempted to throw the television out the window. Even though
But
it wasn't the TV's fault, the TV was going to pay for that. Um,
which ending did you get? Did,
I
did you get the
did
green, blue, or the
the.
red ending?
Oh, God, I can't even remember. I did the combine ending.
Okay.
So I can't remember what color that was, but that's the one that I went with. Oh my God.
You were not satisfied.
I've never wanted to flip a table so hard in my entire life. But that didn't stop me from continuing to love the story that was Mass Effect. Because I like me a Turian, and I really liked um, Garrus and Thane. They're my two favorites. I still got to go back and romance Thane. I've never cried so hard as I did in Mass Effect 3 for reasons that I'm not going to spoil because I know people, that game was good. 3 was good up to the point that they introduced Vega. I feel like we didn't have enough time to kind of get to know Vega as a character. I feel like he could have been better if they would have introduced him earlier on. Um, but like I had no problems with that game other than the late introduction of Vega and then expecting you to care about him and the ending of the game. Like everything else was fine, like all throughout from 1 to 3. Everything else was great.
Now, the viewpoint that I come from is I only played a little bit of the first one, and the part that I played was I just wanted to go all through all the planets and mine the resources. I didn't
Mhm.
really get invested into the story too much or the level up system, although I do like how the level up system is. But isn't I think Andromeda is supposed to be multiplayer PvP. That's
Ooh.
something that I heard, but that's good. That might be an interesting one. But I don't think no. It's going to be set many years after Shepard's actually gone,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
it's going to be new characters, but still the same races. I think.
Mhm. They might. Hopefully, they introduce a few new ones. Maybe that would be interesting. Um,
Well, I would want to play as one of the robot things and just kill everybody. What were they called? They weren't Sentinels.
uh, are we talking about the Geth?
Yeah, no, the machines that they created to kill everybody. I I don't remember what they're called, but
Oh my God!
it
Wasn't
was
it the race the Legion was?
I think so because it was you had if one of the endings was you sacrificed yourself to stop them from destroying the universe, to stop them from erasing the universe, because it was like they were robots that came into the universe from time to time and just cleansed it to start everybody all over.
Oh, those are the Reapers.
Yeah, the
The
Reapers.
Reapers.
Yeah, I want to play as a Reaper and kill everybody.
Because the Geth are
I think
they're like half, well, not really half human, but they're part robot, part human, kind of.
weren't they only in one and two though?
The Geth were. I know the Geth were the big problem in two, I do
Okay.
believe, or were they the big problem in one? Oh no, I can't
Yeah.
remember now.
So, all right. Well, anyway. All right. So next game,
Next game, as you stated, the South Park, the fractured butthole. Oh boy.
which was yeah, which was actually supposed to come out in December, but then they delayed it.
Yeah, it just says Q1 2017.
Yeah. Uh.
April 11th, we're getting Ukulele.
Yes.
It says maybe on the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah. Maybe on
Sure
this.
hope so.
Yeah.
Here's one I haven't heard anything about ever, and that is Prey, which
Pray.
is coming out May 5th.
Okay, that's a reboot of an existing franchise. It's an FPS that's did you ever play the Dead Space series? Uh
Okay.
it's like Dead Space pretty much. But
So,
it's
terrifying.
yeah,
Got it.
it's going to be creepy jump scares and but it's a first person shooter.
Well, we're getting into games that'll be released later on in the year, but the last
Okay.
one, I'm just gonna stop here because it's Tekken 7.
All right.
That was a big game that I played when I was a kid.
Yeah, I've got Tekken 2 and 3 for original PlayStation. I got Tekken Tag Tournament for PS2 and I've
Tekken
got
Tag was the one that I played a lot. That one
yeah.
was very good.
PSP. It's either Tekken Dark Revelations or Tekken a number. Tekken 5 maybe was for PSP.
Mm,
Yeah.
let's find out. Tekken 6,
Oh, Tekken 6 was
it
for
looks
PSP.
like.
All right. All right. So what all right, so are we going to be doing this monthly, weekly? Well, you said we can't do it weekly because you have other obligations.
Um, it would probably be best for us to do maybe once a month for right now until I get myself caught up on some other things. I'm actually trying to get back to school now because I found out I'm going to be getting a car. Uh, very old, crappy car, but hopefully it'll run long enough to get me to and from school. So that's going to be what I'm going to be kind of dealing with for the next few months. So I guess until I get my schedule figured out and get everything done, monthly would probably be the best bet for me as of current.
All right. So listeners, watchers, look for us next month and uh what what are we going to be playing or any media within the next week? What do we have?
Let's see. Well, I'm probably going to be playing more World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
um, I do, however, I'm gonna start going back, kind of touching on oldies in within the anime stuff. So I'll probably have a lot more anime related things to talk about. Um, were there any games or anything of that sort that we should attempt to play, or to give us something to talk about for next show, or should we
Um,
just kind of talk about that off screen and get that kind of figured out there?
I plan on getting Yakuza Zero, so I'll probably be able to give my uh, review of that next episode. But other than that, mm, we'll. I'm gonna watch. What was the anime? Panadora? Tor- no, not Toradora.
Konosuba?
Yeah, I'll watch Konosuba. I'll watch all the first season.
Okay. Awesome.
And
That way we could talk about that a little bit when you come back. I'll rewatch it so that way I make sure I'm nice and brushed up on it.
all right, and maybe we can watch a little bit of season two, or maybe season two will be out by the time we have our next episode.
Yeah.
And also, guys, if you can think of a name for this what you would consider this
This dynamic duo.
dynamic duo, I'm Robin, or no, I'm Nightwing. I'll be Nightwing, and you can be Batman.
Well, I guess that means I'm Batman.
All right. Well, we will leave on that note. Uh,
Alrighty, see you
and
guys later.
well, anything you want to promote, Rose, before we take off?
Uh,
I know you want to remain mostly anonymous.
bear selfies. I just want to throw out there that if you see a bear, don't try to take a selfie with it. This has been your PSA.
All right. Thank you, Rose. Thank you, Rose. And this is Squall, and thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. We hope you have a good day, and we do hope to see you again. Take care.
Bye.